tell me about you and how this is different from a traditional PLC.
Yeah, sure. So, obviously it looks like a PLC with one notable exception, which would be that touchscreen on the front. And that really kind of informs, where we were going with this thing. That touchscreen basically looks very similar to this touchscreen. And when you look at a traditional PLC, you know that it does control really well. And I kind of liken that to a flip phone. It makes phone calls really well, and maybe some other tasks like sending a text message, and maybe a PLC has some additional small tasks it can do. But the reality is that that tech stack, as you start wanting to share this data with the UNS or you want to share it with other applications, now it starts to get complicated. On top of a traditional PLC, you're adding more functions, maybe an OPC UA server, maybe an HMI or PC, and then if you have to protect it, you got to put a gateway on it. All kinds of different issues you got to deal with traditional architectures. What we've tried to do here with EPIC is put all of those features directly on the device. So it becomes more like a smartphone in the sense that I've now got HMI, I've got control, I've got an IO backplane, I have a secure gateway, I have data storage, I have accessibility to connect to other devices over USB or other PLCs. I mean, think of all the devices that you used when you had a flip phone.
Right.
You used to carry around probably a flashlight, maybe a camera, maybe a music player, all these things you carried around with you because that's how your life changed. The same as in manufacturing. It's changing and we need more functions capabilities. Now with your smartphone, you got your flashlight, your video recorder, your music player, your email, you've got all these things. And the power of that came from not just the hardware, but also the software that's embedded on that phone in the case of, say, apps. Right? You choose the right application based on what you want to do. I may use Gmail, you may use your phone's email reader of some other type, but that's your choice. So what we want to do here is give those people, give manufacturers and engineers the choices based on what problem they were trying to solve. So in this case, we have all kinds of different software or apps that are pre-installed, ready to go to solve given problems, including controls. If you want to write your own code, you can do that. We've got all kinds of interfaces for HMI, Node-RED for manipulating data and sending it somewhere, and of course even Ignition and Ignition Edge. But the real magic is in that communications capabilities. So while you might be used to messages on your phone and it has all this rich functionality, we've done the same here. So we're including Sparkplug. This guy is actually an OPC UA server, so I don't need another PC to be an OPC UA server to this device. It's built right in. Right?
Built it in. Very good. So that promotes one of the minimal technical requirements, which is open architecture.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, indeed.
So talking about the minimal technical requirements for UNS, how does it connect to the UNS? So what are the possibilities here? Does it have MQTT capabilities and Sparkplug?
Indeed it does. In fact, we're one of the first companies to put MQTT on a PLC and even all the way to an IO device. So MQTT, straight MQTT with Sparkplug payloads, best for like OT environments where you need to know state, you need store and forward capabilities, and you need very compressed payloads to go over the wire. That's Sparkplug. And then if that's not your bag, then we've got OPC or even REST APIs. But the beauty of the UNS is that it is based on MQTT architecture. And the reason why that's important is because it has to be edge-driven, lightweight, report by exception, and open architecture. And in those cases, the way that works and why edge-driven is important is because I can push the data out into the UNS infrastructure and make sure the device is secure. So on the device, we also have a firewall. It acts like a gateway. We have certificates, all those things. So we can prevent unauthorized access to these devices from any network. And we put on dual network NICs or network interfaces to make sure that we're segmenting the controls network from any northbound connections to the UNS. But in that case, we're also modeling all that data, and then we're publishing it up to the UNS via MQTT, Sparkplug or JSON, whichever you prefer, and then the data just lands in the UNS for you to do something interesting with it.
Very good. So am I right to say that this is unique and I don't have another device that I can not just control, but also it's my edge device. So if I'm looking to
Right.
have a server that I can segment, like you said, in an open VPN and have segmentation, right? So this is a way more than just a traditional PLC.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
your edge device.
Indeed, the entire device, all these devices are based on Linux. So it's our own Yocto build of Linux. So that's number one, on ARM processors with quad-core capabilities, lots of RAM, lots of industrial SSD. And speaking of industrial, you can't put this device, you can put this device anywhere, but and the reason is because of the wide temperature range. We're minus 20 degrees C all the way to 70 degrees. So it's really designed to work in very challenging environments, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like a PC. So I can put databases on here. I can put MQTT brokers if I choose to do that. I have a lot of flexibility in how I build my architecture. The most important thing is I'm flattening that tech stack down. So I have one device that's easily managed and secure that gives you all these capabilities and taking all the complexity out at not only the control layer, but at the edge layer too.
I have to ask you, so how does it feel to be on TED Talk and having over 1 million views on YouTube on what's IoT? What's Industrial Internet of Things?
Right. So what is the Internet of Things? And this is a TED Talk I did, TEDx talk I did back in 2014 when the notion of the Internet of Things was still very, very new. And we were seeing a lot of devices that were becoming part of the Internet of Things, but why was that important? And at the time that I did that talk, it wasn't about industrial. It was about how the IoT affects us all in our everyday lives, from our smart devices that we wear, the smart phones that we put in our pocket, and the smart devices that might be in our home, and why those things are, why we have the IoT, and what benefits can be derived from that. But also, what are the challenges with that? See the TED Talk and you'll see what I mean.
Thank you very much, Benson, for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Stay connected. Bye.
Tupinix. Smart Factory Solutions.